Hey guys, my name is Matsumo, and today I'm excited to say that Ubisoft has just revealed their mid-season patch for Rainbow Six Siege, which comes with some changes and some future updates that I was definitely not expecting. And so first and foremost, one thing I know many people are going to be thrilled about is that Smoke is going to be getting a buff. Ever since this most recent DLC where Ubisoft went in and changed every single one of the recoils on all of the weapons, the SMG-11 in particular saw a pretty substantial nerf. Its recoil is through the roof, and the result of that, because Smoke relied on that before, his pick rate and his viability plummeted dramatically. A lot of people are straying away from him. Now, some people were able to adapt and switch on over to his primary SMG, but it really just wasn't the same. And so a lot of you guys will be happy to know that they're going to make the recoil a little bit easier to manage. Now, I don't know if it's going to be the same that it was before. I don't think that they're going to go that dramatic, but it's definitely going to be a step in the right direction. Now, personally, while I'm glad that he is getting an upgrade, I was sort of hoping that Ubisoft was going to be able to find a workaround and actually upgrade another aspect of his kit to make him more viable. It doesn't really sit well with me when an operator is balanced around their secondary. I would rather it be balanced around their primary and their gadget, and for them just to go on in and buff it instead of making other compromises for the other aspects of his kit is a little disappointing. Not the end of the world, because I know that this is basically just an exclusive issue for Smoke right now, because I really think that he was balanced before, but I was kind of hopeful that Ubisoft was going to be able to find some kind of workaround. Another change I'm sure many people are going to be excited about is that Mira's Vector is also going to be getting a buff. Just like with Smoke, where the recoil was increased dramatically, the same was true for the Vector. Maybe not as substantially, but it definitely had a negative impact on the operator. And so what they're going to do is to reduce that recoil to improve its handling. Now, I imagine the reason why Ubisoft is doing this is that if you look at the chart that Ubisoft included with this little article, you'll notice that her win rate really isn't all that great. The only ones under her are 4 operators: Smoke, which is also getting a buff, Tachanka, Clash, and Castle. And so if I had to take a guess, they're really just trying to improve that win rate a little bit to make her a bit more balanced. Now, one change I know that many Maestro mains are not going to be too thrilled by is that his amazing hipfire accuracy is going to be removed. Ubisoft's reasoning for doing this is that apparently it led to confusion and did not play out the way that they had anticipated. Now, I'm not exactly sure what they mean by led to confusion. Maybe players were getting taken out by Maestro who was hipfiring, and they were accusing those Maestro players of cheating, because how in the world are you hip firing me down from long range? Like, that's a possibility. But then why wouldn't you apply that same policy to, let's say, Jackal's SMG, for example? Jackal's SMG has way tighter hipfire accuracy, and so I'm not entirely sure what they mean by that. As for Maestro not working the way that they anticipated, in a recent AMA, they stated that they assumed Maestro was going to be more of a suppressive operator. So you could maybe hipfire someone at long range, and while you may not be able to take them out, you are at least able to get a couple of shots against them and force them to duck behind cover. But even then, that doesn't really make a whole lot of sense either. And so my guess is that this hipfire accuracy allowed him to excel with an ACOG at long range. You would have that awesome accuracy, but up close you could also just hipfire people down fairly reliably, and so he didn't really have a whole lot of weaknesses. And so maybe that's what they hadn't anticipated. All in all, though, I don't think this is going to really hurt Maestro all that much. It was more of just a really cool, unique property of his primary. He still has one of the best gadgets on defense. That's still incredible. He can still ADS people no problem, just like every other operator, but I know that Maestro mains are probably going to be disappointed by this news. Now, Maestro isn't the only operator that's going to be getting nerfed with this update, because Clash is also seeing some changes. First of all, they're going to be increasing the time it takes for you to be able to switch between her shield on over to her secondary, making her a little less effective at taking out other players. I'm sure a lot of you guys are going to be on board with that change. They're going to be increasing the time it takes for you to be able to recharge her electricity, so you can't shock people indefinitely like you kind of could before. And they're also reducing the time it takes for offensive operators who are shocked to regain full mobility. And now is only going to take 0.5 seconds instead of 1.5 seconds to regain that full movement. All in all, though, I am completely on board with all of these adjustments. This will hopefully make Clash a little less annoying to go against on offense, but also just make her focus on being more of that supportive operator, which I think is exactly what Ubisoft intended when they first introduced her. One thing I was not expecting with this article, though, is that it looks like they are not happy with the way that Lion and Glaz currently work, and they're going to be making some pretty substantial changes to them sometime in the future. For Lion specifically, they're considering removing the intel gathering aspect of his gadgets. Now, you might be thinking, well, wait a second, doesn't his gadget completely revolve around gathering information? The whole threat of not standing still when his gadget goes off is that the offensive team knows exactly where you are. If there isn't that information gathering, then why in the world would people not stand still when his gadget is activated? Well, what this could mean is that instead of everyone on offense knowing exactly where you're located, it could cause maybe a disorientation effect. So if you do move, yes, the offensive team isn't going to know exactly where you are, but you will maybe have like an echo effect where it's going to be difficult if someone does round the corner to be able to retaliate and win that engagement. That could be kind of what they're alluding to. They also mentioned that another workaround is that instead of having a bright red outline around everyone, it could just be a jackal ping. So you still have a relative idea of where they're located, but it's nowhere near as crazy as it was before. That would also be a pretty significant nerve. All in all, though, I cannot wait to see what they come up with Lion. This is definitely an indication that Lion really wasn't the most thought out when he was first introduced. The fact that they're thinking of changing his gadget this dramatically, I think, is a good indication, but if they do go through with it, I think it will be better for the game overall. And then finally, we have Glaz. Ever since he got access to the Iron V scope, which allowed him to peer through smoke, he no longer really was the sniper of Siege and actually turned into someone who pushes the objective and gets really aggressive, which wasn't what they were intending. They wanted to give him a buff, clear with the Iron V and that smoke design, but they're not really happy with the results. And so while they don't really go into details on how they're going to be changing him, they do want him to be solidified as that sniper operator, and they're going to be making some sort of adjustments in the future. But yeah, guys, that is about it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed. Let me know what you thought about all of these changes. Are you excited to see what happens to Glaz and Lion? Do you have some ways that you would like them to go about it? Let me know down below in the comments. But yeah, guys, until tomorrow, have a good one and take it easy.